Picture this. Your parents just took you to the video game store and you're fired up because you're about to get a brand new game. You look on the shelves and what do you see? You see a Sonic the Hedgehog video game. You tell your parents that's the game you want. They finally agree to get it for you. They bring you home, and the first thing that happens when you fire that game up is you typically run into a level with a beach. The Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, especially in the early 2000s, was known for throwing you into a beach level when you first play the game. There are so many different levels with beaches in the Sonic franchise that today we'll be ranking the top 10 beaches in all of Sonic. It's a new series I want to start, like a pointless top 10 kind of thing. So let me know what you want me to rank in the next video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. I'll give you a second. And let's rank the top 10 beaches in the Sonic franchise. Coming in at number 10, we have Tropical Coast from Sonic Lost World. Now, this is a game that I severely dislike. I genuinely don't like anything about this. If you look at the aesthetic, I mean, it's kind of like a fake Mario Galaxy is what they were going for. Trolls are weird. Listen, don't get at me in the comments. I don't like this game. But there is a level called Tropical Coast, as you see by the hub world right here. Everything about this game is just like, like, look at this. I mean, I want to be at the beach, but I'm on like this upside down circular planet with the beach texture on it. So compared to some of the other beach worlds, like, look at this. Does this really look like we're at the beach? I mean, it's all right. On this list, though, this is probably my least favorite one. What I really don't like about this beach is that there's nowhere to really, like, chill or feel like you're in a beach area. I mean, the 2D sections are kind of like that, but in 3D, it's just like, it's more of just like a beach texture. Let's move on to the next one. Coming in at number 9, we have Green Reef from the original Sonic Speed Simulator. Green Reef is extremely nostalgic because it released in the summer of 2022 when Sonic Speed Simulator was around its peak. This world is what introduced the Big the Cat update, and the best thing that this world nails down is definitely the aesthetic. The beach area just looks like somewhere I would like to chill and maybe party or whatever and just like relax, have a good time. But also, this world was the only world to introduce a water mechanic. So you can go underwater and you will see the Badnik fish. And the coolest part was this mysterious Eggman lair, which was never actually released. It was probably scrapped content, but I would love to know what the developers of the game had planned for this because it never fully materialized. The only reason why I had this at number 9, as nostalgic as this is for me, I genuinely hated the missions in this zone. It was like one of the most tedious and grindy things I've ever done in SSS. That's why I'm going to put it at number 9, although the aesthetic could carry this a little bit higher. Let's move on to the next one. Coming in at number 8, we have the beach from Sonic Battle. If you look right here, it's actually one of the first levels again in Sonic Battle, which is a fighting game that was on the Game Boy Advance. I have a ton of hours on this game, but this beach has a similar aesthetic to Emerald Coast with like the grassy vibe over here with the decks and the actual beach. What's cool about this game is that it actually had hub worlds and stuff like that, so you could actually bring the character to the beach. So it's a nice little vibe here. I always found myself coming back here and training when I was younger. Like I said, I had so much fun playing this game when I was a kid. A lot more hours than I probably should have. Good thing about this game is it had a really immersive story with like really awesome dialogue. So that's why I rank Emerald Town Beach. Let's move on to the next game. Next up, we have Seaside Hill from Sonic Generations. Now, obviously, Sonic Generations is a remake of several old Sonic games prior to 2011 for the 20th anniversary. One of my favorite beaches is definitely Seaside Hill, and I genuinely love the look of how Sonic Generations look. In terms of art style and art direction, this is a really solid way for the Sonic franchise to go. The water looks just so good here. Like, can I go swimming? Let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can go swimming. Oh, okay. And it really encapsulates like what a 3D Sonic remake should look like. But honestly, my only complaint is since it's a boosting game, you kind of just like run through the beaches. There's not enough time spent on the actual beach itself. Although if you really stop to slow down, there are a lot of really cool pockets that you can hang out in. Like, look right here. If there wasn't these stupid robots right here, wouldn't this be a fun place to hang out? But that's where we put Sonic Generations. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have the Green Hill Beach from Sonic Speed Simulator Reborn. So in the new update, they added this really giant, expansive world. And seemingly by the day, a hub world that's growing with a lot of like clutter and stuff like that. Not that it looks bad. There's a lot going on here. So behind the hustling, bustling Green Hill hub world, you have a nice chill beach that you can go to, and it's really large. It literally spans across like almost the entire width of the map. Think about this giant, expansive beach, but also just a little place and a little umbrella to get away from the chaos of the actual world. My favorite part of this beach is this new little spot that they added, this little pocket where you can kind of just mess around. Kind of almost like a test stage demo that you would see in like a Sonic fan game, but it's really cool to kind of like try to keep yourself going in a perfect circle, kind of mess around with the physics, which are quite good in this game, and the controls are pretty spot on. This is probably one of the only areas of the game where you can just get like a nice straight line without having to dodge any obstacles. Some of the biggest highlights of this beach is this area right here, where you get to see the great beyond and this giant waterfall, and it makes you wonder, like, what is truly out there? Listen, we all know that those are PNGs out there. I don't care. But you see what they're going for with this world, and you have like this big crater right here. Something about this is just really immersive to me. Since I'm a YouTuber, there's always a lot of people following following me around in the game, but sometimes if you just want to get away from everything, you have this little pocket right here, which I really like to hang out at. And like I said before, the beach wraps around the other side of the map as well. So you have another area where you can kind of mess around with the physics and walk on the walls. There's a nice little pocket where you can just get away from everything under this cave right here. It's one of my favorite places to hang out by myself. So that is where I rank the Green Hill Beach from Sonic Speed Simulator. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Neo Green Hill Zone from Sonic Advance. Sonic Advance was a modern take on the 2D classic Sonic formula with the modern Sonic characters. This was developed by Dimps, and it released a really awesome trilogy back in the early 2000s. When you first boot up the game, you will be found in Neo Green Hill Zone, and you start off directly on a beach. Now, it has a very similar aesthetic to Emerald Coast. You have some umbrellas over here. As with all early 2000s Sonic games, you also have like these nice little boardwalks. It's really such a nice looking environment, and speeding through this, out of all the great things that this game does, is my favorite part of the game. What's really cool about it is that you go straight from the beach right onto like the actual world with some roads, and eventually you make your way into the forest, which kind of reminds me of the original Emerald Coast as well. But the beach is just one small little section of this level, and then you never see it again. It adds to the immersion of the world because it feels like you're in a real world. You start on the beach, you go to the roads, and then you're venturing out into the forest, so it feels like it's a true adventure. And it makes it feel that much more special with how exclusive it is. I almost would rank this higher, but there's still some really good beaches. Let's move on to the next ones. Next up, we have Resort Island from Sonic R. By the way, if you guys like this custom shirt that I got made, one of one, make sure to click the link in the pinned comment or in the description. Use code SonicHub to get 20% off any custom shirts that you want. You can get anything made. Now, Sonic R was a super charming game from the 1990s, which allowed you to race as Sonic characters, but this time it was on foot. So think of Mario Kart 64, but everyone just running around in circles with a lot more jank. This game also sported an amazing soundtrack, and believe it or not, this is actually the first 3D Sonic game, or at least one of them. A lot of people think of Sonic Adventure being the first 3D game, but nope, Sonic R came before it. So the first level of the game actually has a beach in it. And honestly, it's all about the full package, right? It's about the full island. I mean, if you really consider the full island's almost like a beach in of itself, but the aesthetic and music carry this game hard. If there's one thing that people like about this game, even if they're die-hard haters, it's definitely a really charming game. So if you want, you can go over to the beach right here. Actually, I'm like in the water right now, but I just love this little beach area. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, when I played this game, I would just run around in circles just because it was so cool to be able to actually run around as Sonic in 3D. Let me know in the comments if you guys had similar experiences when you were younger, but sometimes just running around and exploring the world, even though it's not necessarily what you were supposed to be doing, was always really cool to me. I always found myself doing this. Look at Amy. What is she doing? Wait, yo, what are you doing over here? Yo, what are you doing? Listen, is this the most visually pleasing beach out of all the beaches that I just listed? No. Is it the best? I don't know. But there's one thing I do know. When you're listening to this song right here, hanging out in this beach area over here, how could you be upset? Let's roll the clip. Listen, it might be the hottest take of the day. That's where I'm ranking it. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes. Now, this is where it gets crazy. This is the top 3. Sonic Heroes is the first Sonic game I've ever played. If there's one thing Sonic Heroes did well, they had a really strong marketing campaign since Sonic Heroes was the first multi-platform Sonic game. In particular, they did a really good job marketing the game through their McDonald's commercials, and that's how I discovered Sonic. I was a diehard Mario fan growing up, but once I saw these commercials and picked up Sonic Heroes, it was a wrap. So that's why I'm placing Sonic Heroes Seaside Hill at number 3. It starts you off immediately with a good back shot of the beach with all the heroes running into the world. This is the beginning of your grand adventure. Also, Sonic Heroes was probably a return to form with a more cartoony, vibrant, colorful art style, as opposed to the 2 Sonic Adventure games, which went for a more realistic aesthetic. There are several different beaches that you will encounter through your journey of Seaside Hill. The only problem is there will be a lot of badniks awaiting you on your journey. There are several different pockets that you can hang out in, and I think the coolest beach that you will find is if you fall in one of the platforming sections, you'll actually land in a secret, or not really secret, but like a mini beach. And this is a really nice area where I feel like you can kind of just get away from the linear platforming levels and kind of just chill and take in the environment. I really do love the skybox in this world, and it just feels very large and expansive. It makes you really feel like you're on this island full of life, about to embark on a crazy quest. It could be higher, but the top 2 are going to be very hard to beat. But let's move on to the next ones. Coming in at number 2, we have Wave Ocean from Sonic 06. Sonic 06 is one of the worst received Sonic games of all time, and what a lot of people might call the final nail in the coffin for a series that was struggling to find its footing in 3D. You guys have all heard these tropes from the gaming journalists. I can't even lie to you guys though, I actually genuinely enjoyed Sonic 06 when I played it when I was younger. Call it nostalgia, call it what you want. Wave Ocean is one of my favorite levels of all time. First and foremost, what this truly felt like to me at the time was like Sonic in next gen. This was Emerald Coast, just on modern next gen gaming hardware with the Xbox 360. Truthfully, I do believe that this game did look pretty good when it came out, although a lot of people do kind of hate on the graphics. To me, this was the true Sonic Adventure 3. What I love about Wave Ocean is how it sets you up. You start off by doing a couple loop-de-loops and then you're skating on the ocean. The best part about Wave Ocean, when we talk about these little pockets and little extra places you could hide or hang out and kind of just stay away from all the madness of the levels, Wave Ocean's got it. Look at these little beach chairs right here. Like, this little level of detail is so cool. And if you look over to the side, what I love most about Wave Ocean is how alive it feels. You see these houses here, like someone lives in this house, and clearly he has a lot of boats. Maybe this is like a boat renting business or something like that. Regardless, there's civilization here and life, and it just makes the game feel that much more immersive, which is something I can really enjoy about it. There's a bunch of houses all over the place, so again, like, this is life, this is civilization. Like I said, this really does feel like Sonic Adventure 3. You had the nod to Sonic Adventure 1 with the section where you run away from the whale. And in addition to that, you even have more of this with the Mach Speed section. Although you won't see much of it, it's really hard to find a better beach than Wave Ocean, but I think number 1 will top it. Coming in at number 1, if you're a fan of the channel, you obviously know what my number 1 choice is. If you watch my videos, it is Emerald Coast from Sonic Adventure. Emerald Coast is the beginning of the grand adventure of Sonic Adventure. What I love about Emerald Coast, before we get into anything about the level and the theme and the aesthetic of itself, how this really feels like one big interconnected world. Emerald Coast doesn't start when the level boots up and you go into the level. Emerald Coast starts right here in the adventure field. This is what makes Sonic Adventure so special. Like, Emerald Coast is right there. When you're in Station Square, the extension of Emerald Coast starts right here. The seamless transition between the hub world and the actual game world is something that has not been topped in Sonic. For example, this is the Station Square Hotel right here, even though the level has already phased in. This is why Sonic Adventure in of itself is special. Instead of going level to level with no cohesion or connection, like almost every other Sonic game that followed, Sonic Adventure perfectly translates the in-game world to the actual levels that you play. When you fight Knuckles in the Mystic Ruins, you fight him in the actual in-game world arena. That is what is so cool about this game. That is a level of immersion that has not been topped in the Sonic franchise to this day. So yes, of course, I could gush about how much I love Sonic Adventure. Maybe one day I'll get around to actually making a video essay about that, but let's get into the level itself. When you start off the level, you start off at the Station Square Hotel. Very similar to Sonic Advance 1, you find yourself slowly drifting away from that starting area, which shows that you're embarking out into the great world of Sonic Adventure. You see a bunch of different islands, you see a vast sea, a bunch of boardwalks. Like, this is what's connected to Station Square, and it goes out really far. You have several different pockets that you can hang out, especially this one right here, and that level of immersion of the game world feeling alive and interconnected is only further solidified when you play as Big the Cat and you can actually swim and fish in this water. There's something about this first level that I don't know if it's ever been topped in the entire Sonic franchise, and although we're really far away from the hotel, don't worry, this beach still has chairs and umbrellas, so there's a vibrant population that thrives in this area. It probably has the most mini beaches out of all the levels in the Sonic franchise. Maybe Wave Ocean would be second, coupled with an iconic OST. If there's one place I would like to go to escape from my problems in the world, just kick back and relax, that location would definitely be Emerald Coast as my number 1 beach in the entire Sonic franchise.